Tonight, it's game one of a three-game set between the Cubs and the Yankees, a rare appearance by the Cubbies in the Bronx. The Yankees will look to Luis Severino to bring some swagger back to a rotation that's been scuffling. My recap, your reactions, coming up next. This is Yankees Game Night. Walk it off, baby. Walk it off.
More of that, please.
Let's hear it for Jose Trevino for finally bringing this game to its conclusion. That was a long night in the Bronx. That's the second straight time that the Yankees have walked off in the Bronx. You might remember that Donaldson finished off the homestand, the last homestand, with a sac fly to end things before they went to Minnesota. The Yankees swept that entire homestand, and they begin this homestand with a walk-off. So let me first start before the game. I was really excited to see Clint Frazier today. Not because I love Clint Frazier. It honestly is painful to watch him play baseball. And even though he's been talking smack about the Yankees and their organization since he's joined the Cubs, I was looking forward to seeing what kind of reception he would get tonight. You figure he's got a lot of fans, but he also had a lot of people who were not happy that he's been talking smack. And so I figured he might get booed, but we got robbed of that because Clint Frazier was DFA'd again before the game. We did get to see Luis Severino tonight. He struck out the side in the first inning. His first 5 outs of the game were strikeouts. Top 3, the Cubs threatened, but Aaron Judge made a phenomenal diving catch in center field. If he missed it, it would have been at least 2 runs. Bottom 3. Yankees loaded the bases for Josh Donaldson with 2 outs, but he lined out to center field to end the inning. And that was the story all night. Lots of men left in scoring position. Bottom 4. Cubs pitcher Wade Miley had to leave the game with an injury. Perhaps fortunate for the Yankees, the Cubs brought in Daniel Norris. And Gleyber Torres immediately hit the first pitch he threw for a home run.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
11th home run of the year for Gleyber Torres. That's 2 more than he had all of last season. Top 5, Jason Hayward ties it up with a solo home run to the opposite field. And I got to give Hayward credit because that was a tough pitch to hit out of the ballpark. It was up and away, and he just stayed back on it, hit it right to left field, and got enough of it. So kudos to him. I'm surprised he never became a better hitter. You might remember his first game in the major leagues, and it's a great highlight. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube somewhere. His first game in the major leagues with the Braves, I think he was 20 years old. He had a 470-foot home run. It was impressive. Top 6, Severino got his 10th strikeout of the night. He was part of a strike him out, throw him out double play. His final line on the night, another good performance for Severino. 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Nice job for Louis. The stuff, in my opinion, for Luis Severino is all the way back. The slider was there. The fastball was crisp. He's working efficiently, getting ahead of hitters. He was having some trouble early in the game with pitch count, but he settled in. But in my opinion, Severino's all the way back. And the thing is just going to be whether or not you can keep him healthy enough to get him to the October rotation. But I think this was his 11th start and continues to pitch very well. ERA down under 3. Nice work by the bullpen tonight. Miguel Castro and Mike King to keep it at 1-1 or 1-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. Yankees put 2 runners on in the bottom of the 8th, but Gleyber Torres and Aaron Hicks both struck out to end the threat. And those guys were just taking way too big of cuts for that situation. You get guys, on second and third or first and second late in the game where you just need one run, you got to shorten up.
Well, you may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
Top 9, Clay Holmes came in to pitch. Gleyber Torres and Anthony Rizzo combined to make an outstanding play to get the out at first. Holmes worked another scoreless ninth. His final pitch was recorded as a 103-mile-an-hour single. Single, 103-mile-an-hour sinker. But the booth was speculating that maybe the gun was a little bit hot, a little bit pumped up, because Mike King was registering fastballs at 100, and he doesn't usually throw 100. Somebody asked, where's the belt pull? We don't have time for a belt pull tonight because this game was a 13-inning walk-off, so we're going to award it by decree. Top 10, Clark Schmidt worked an inning and did not allow the Manfred runner to advance. Got a nice double play when he needed it. Bottom 10, Josh Donaldson almost hit a walk-off 3-run home run, but came up just short.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Top 11, Clark Schmidt turned an outstanding double play on a line drive right back to him. He fired to second base to get that Manfred runner and end the inning. Bottom 11, Aaron Hicks got absolutely robbed of a walk-off. He smoked a line drive right at the third baseman. If it gets by him, that ends the game. Tough luck. Peralta worked a scoreless 12th inning. Marinaccio worked out of a jam in the 13th. And then bottom 13, Jose Trevino, the last man on the bench, pinch hits and walks it off.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
More of that, please.
And for that, his second walk-off of the year, Trevino is our belt winner. So there's your answer to who wins the belt. By decree, I got to give it to him because he ended this night that just went so long. I mean, look at home run by Hayward, opposite field. Severino with the strike him out, throw him out, double play here on the breaking ball in the outside corner. Holmes, there's the 101-mile-an-hour sinker. Great play by Gleyber Torres over to Rizzo with the pick. I mean, this was just a fun, very tight baseball game. Connor Jones says, Clint Frazier got the karma. Yikes. But I agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Let's go ahead and look at the box score real quick because there's not a whole lot to talk about, and then we can get to your reactions. So, just a 2-1 game in 13 innings. I mean, that's about as low scoring as you can get for this deep into the game. 9 hits for the Cubs, 6 for the Yankees. You see, Donaldson was the only Yankee with 2 hits. Judge walked a couple of times. Stanton walked a couple of times. He got pinch run for by Gallo. Matt Carpenter made an appearance in this game. But the pitching was the story. Obviously, the bullpen, once again, was fantastic. But Luis Severino deserves some real credit for stitching together another really good outing. He did scatter 7 hits. That's what you call that when, it's kind of a high hit total, but it's over 6 innings, so it was kind of scattered. And you can give up hits or you can walk guys, but you can't do both. Tonight, he pretty much was around the strike zone. Just 1 walk to go with those 10 strikeouts. You see, 2.80 ERA on the season for him. And Ron Marinaccio, let's hear it for him. First Major League win.
More of that, please.
First Major League win for Ron Marinaccio. Dean Jones says he still does not like the Manfred runner. I can't blame you. To me, that's not baseball, but it is ending some of these extra inning games a little bit quicker. They talked about it maybe in like the 10th or 11th inning. David Cohn was talking about how managers don't want to have to deal with managing their bullpen after an 18-inning game or whatnot. These arms are so fragile these days, and they're paid so much money. You don't want to have to start using position players in the 16th, 17th innings. That just takes the integrity. Maybe not the integrity. That's probably the wrong way to say it. It takes the competitiveness out of the pitcher-batter duel, right? Because, we saw Aaron Judge versus a position player a couple weeks ago, and he barely swung, and he hit it off the fence. It's just not fair. So, you 13, 14 inning games, is pretty much the max you're going to get these days with the Manfred runner. This 13 inning game tied the longest game in the majors this year. There was one, I think, between the Cubs and the Braves, I think they said. Damon Stewart says, Frazier, I like this clubhouse. Cubs, hit the road, Jack. Yikes. Laura V says, I guess we got the best out of Gallo and Hicks last night. Now, I'm not going to hold anything against Hicks tonight because he could have walked it off. He hit the ball hard. He had a couple of really nice swings, so the stats weren't there tonight. I believe he was 0 for 5 on the night. He was 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts, 5 left on base. Donaldson only had 2 at-bats and somehow also left 4 men on base. Also, Gallo got kind of hosed on a couple of calls. One of the pitchers, I forget who it was throwing kind of a 12-6 curveball, but it was breaking outside of the zone. And the umpire gave him 2 strike calls in a row that I felt were outside of the zone, that the box showed as outside of the zone, and that Gallo clearly said was off the plate, in his opinion. Devin says, downtown goes Frazier to the unemployment line. Yikes.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Gotta love the senses of humor for Yankees fans. It's fun. Let's see. Victor Ortiz says, without the Manfred runner, it would have went like 20 innings. And at that point, you're playing with guys' health. I mean, this is a team that got in at 5 this morning or something like that. By the way, Andy Pettitte bobblehead night, so I had to include the Andy Pettitte highlights in the reel tonight. Adams Yankee Cap says, I feel bad for Judge. He didn't get a chance to hit. And that's a very valid opinion. Because, there were times where, you just walk him because you got a base open. If he was going to lead off the inning, there's no reason to pitch to him. Set up the double play. So, I agree. I would have rather seen Aaron Judge have a chance to settle that game a couple of innings earlier. YKTVs says, Gallo has got to go. Benintendi would work well, to be honest.
Absolutely, hey.
Linus Chioke says, skipping the pitcher's spot in extras is worse than the Manfred runner, in my opinion. Get a drink of water. I mean, they're clearly trying to prevent these games from going 18, 19 innings. They don't want guys to get hurt. Also put up some prospect stats that are kind of scrolling through in the upper right. Austin Wells still having a real good year. He's on the 7-day IL. Everson Pereira is a guy I was really excited about. Kind of off to a slow start, but just thought I would add that to the mix tonight. Kind of spice things up. I am going to take tomorrow night off. It's a Saturday night, and I'll be back on Sunday. Jesse Alfred Manrique says, should the Yankees trade for Reynolds or Benintendi? I think they'll probably explore those guys, but, they're 42 and 16? They're 26 games over 500. I don't think any team in baseball besides the Yankees has fewer than 20 losses. So, I mean, you can't argue with the fact that the chemistry is good. And as Michael Kay sometimes says, you might not want to upset the apple cart. Now, I think you could definitely get more production with, somebody like Benintendi out there. But, Hicks is coming around a little bit, I think. Gallo, I still don't have a lot of faith in. But, it'd be just interesting to see what the Yankees decide to do. I know that Cashman has got his eyes on everything that's available because the Yankees have a wide open window this year. You're going to have home field advantage in the playoffs if you keep playing like this. And home field advantage makes an enormous difference when you're the Yankees because this stadium gets to be rocking in the playoffs. Just rocking. Wampbag Doodle says, don't like the Manfred runner rule, increase roster sizes. I like the increased roster size.
Absolutely, hey.
Alexander Lee says, there were too many walks. There were 4 walks on the Cubs side, and the Yankees walked 8 times. So 12 walks in 13 innings. So I'm going to go ahead and agree that was a lot of walks.
I hardly agree.
There's a lot of walks for not that many runs. Shoruk Mustad says, this has to be our year, World Series or bust.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
One Talleyrand 1 says, LeMahieu chased ball 4, not normally what he does. Yeah, he had a really good at bat, but then he swung at a slider in the dirt late in the game that, if he picks up a base hit earlier, then we're doing this, an hour ago. But Yo Elvis, our pitching tonight was fire. Wholeheartedly agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Greg Petritus says, I like the idea of a 30-man roster and limit to 15 pitchers. That's an interesting idea. You'd probably get a few more minor league level arms on each roster, which would possibly help out offense, right? Because they're not going to be as polished. So you might bring up a couple of guys who otherwise wouldn't have made it. And that could help solve some of the offensive problems in the game. It won't make an enormous difference, but, that is one thing to think about. Charb says, these prospect stats are a little concerning, to be honest. I wouldn't read too much into them. It's nice to follow their way around, but typically minor league stats don't mean a whole lot. Go look at Alfonso Soriano or Robinson Cano's minor league stats. They were okay. They didn't hit for much power. You get to the major leagues and everything is better. The conditions are better. The facilities are better. The lighting is better. The consistency of the pitching that you see more strikes. That's better. So as long as these guys are having good at bats, and I know that's cliche, and as long as they're hitting the ball hard and they're seeing quality pitchers and they're learning to play defense, they'll improve with time. Juan Santiago with the $10 super dono says, so Miami doesn't like Jazz Chisholm, possible trade target. I got to read more about him. I've seen his name pop up a few times. I've never seen him pitch that I can think of. Aaron Judge dropping by the chat. Appreciate that, Mr. Aaron.
Excellent.
Fritz Walter says, LeMahieu injured again. I don't think they would be playing him if he was injured. He's too valuable to the team. But something's up. He's hitting 261 on the year. Averages are down across Major League Baseball. I think the Major League average is about 235 this year. So averages are down, and that's concerning. The Yankees have just one player hitting over 300. Just going through the averages, 261 for LeMahieu, 308 for Judge, 215 for Rizzo, Stanton, 271. It's like the harder you hit it, the more hits you get. Donaldson, 241. Gleyber Torres, 247. Another guy who hits it hard, creeping up around 250. Aaron Hicks hitting 230. Higashioka hitting 148. That is pretty bad. That is
just a bit outside.
Gonzalez hitting 242. Trevino hitting 290 after that walk-off single. Carpenter 250 and Kiner Falefa 258. So a lot of low to mid 200s. Couple of guys creeping up towards 300. You would love to have. I think if you had that one more guy, and that could be where Benintendi comes in. Benintendi's hitting over 300 this year. If you had, if you had one more guy hitting 300, 310, maybe you don't have as many nights where you struggle to get that hit with runners in scoring position. So I feel like Texas says Derek Cucumber on the eyes. Oh, the olive green shirt. Oh, this is my workout shirt, and I was doing a workout during the game, and I just didn't have a chance to go shower and change because my wife already went to bed. She gets up early in the morning, and it gets past 11 o'clock. She's passed out, so I didn't want to go in there and bother her. So I wore the olive green workout shirt tonight. That's the only way I can get through some of these long games. I struggle with just sitting. I'm always up and about, and so I have a tonal in the next room, and I'll go a couple of times in the game and do just a couple of different exercises. Dean Patterson says Pete Rose said the majors was the easiest place to hit in baseball. Maybe for him, easy to say when you get 4,000 hits. But again, the consistency of the pitching makes a huge difference. You're going to see strikes for the most part in the major leagues. Not So Family Fun Vision says Hicks is very unlucky. This isn't a fact, but I'm pretty sure most of his hardest hits are outs. We've seen him hit a number of balls very hard that get caught. He's been victimized by what they call the old Adam ball, hitting it right at him. Jazz Chisholm, not a pitcher. Is he not a pitcher? I've never seen. I don't even know who he is, honestly. Let's see here. I must be thinking of Sandy Alcantara. I know they got some good young pitching, but I honestly don't really watch any Marlins games. Juan Santiago says he's a second baseman, shortstop. Well, I think we're covered in those positions. Gleyber Torres, as you see, making the great play tonight. Had a great play from IKF, but couldn't make the throw. So, hey, it is what it is. Got another super dono from Mr. Aaron Judge. Says 200 likes equals 10,000 for this man. We'll see.
Excellent.
We are at 107. 107, and I don't think we're going to get there. I believe Higashioka shouldn't be starting games behind the dish, says quality content. I think that, he's best suited for the role that he's in right now, where he's just kind of the backup. Trevino is clearly taking over that role, but for some reason, Higashioka's bat has completely vanished this year. I mean, he wasn't this bad in years past. And 7 home runs in spring, and then it's just like all his power disappeared. It is what it is. So if you guys want to help me get to 10 or 200 likes, we'll see if Aaron Judge, I don't know if this is the actual Aaron Judge, but I doubt it. We're at 128, so let's pump it up. We got about 5 minutes before I call it a night. Let's get your chats in. Andy Yang says Severino has a sick pickoff move. I actually think he gets it quicker to first than he does to home because he's short arms. When you see that he spins, he keeps the ball real close, real tight to his shoulder, and then just kind of throws like a lawn dart over there. Let's see here. Gamer B says Kyle Higashioka, the strikeout stroker. Yikes. He hit some balls hard tonight. All right. Adams Yanks Cap says, why do the Yankees allow mustaches if they have a strict rule requiring players to shave their hair? So it's actually there's an official policy, and I'll get you the official letters of the law, if you will. Yankees facial hair policy language. It's actually called like the I forget, the professional appearance policy, and it says all players, coaches, and male executives are forbidden to display any facial hair other than mustaches, except for religious reasons, and scalp hair may not be grown below the collar. So theoretically, if you had somebody who for religious reasons had to grow a beard or grow long hair, then they could do it. But, in terms of mustaches, it's explicitly written into the rule. And, mustaches go with baseball. I mean, Thurman had a great mustache. Mattingly had a great mustache. And, of course, Matt Carpenter and Nestor Cortez handing out the free mustache rides all year. Lori C says, hit the like button. Yeah, let's see if we can get to 200. We got 620 people in the chat. So if everybody does it, we'll get there. Peter D. Rosso says, don't trade for Benintendi and send Andujar up. I've been a big advocate of getting Andujar more at-bats. I just like how he's hitterish. We got enough guys that are up there trying to walk. It's good to have somebody who's up there trying to do something with the ball, trying to do some damage. Dr. Hitskin says, first of all, that's a funny name. I like that. Says Mattingly had a great stash. Mattingly had the all-time great stash. Not So Family Fun Vision says it's a terrible policy. I think it's time to let the beard, grow in a little bit. I mean, the country's changing, the world is changing. Hey, we're over 200. There we go. We are over 200 likes in the chat. Appreciate that, guys. So let's see where Aaron Judge is at. The world is changing. I think it's time to let up on the appearance. I work with a lot of really professional people who have all kinds of appearances. You got people with the big earrings, and then you got people with tattoos, and people with all kinds of facial hair, people who dress in what I consider unconventional ways, but it doesn't deduct from their professional performance. So Mr. November says, we need some offense. Cash should trade for Bryce Harper. I don't think the Phillies would trade Bryce Harper, but also something about Bryce Harper is that he's got a partially torn UCL. And that's not something that the Yankees, I think, want to mess with, especially with that kind of contract, because he's going to have 1 year where he's going to, need surgery. Bruce P says, where is Judge? The man has disappeared. I kind of figured it would. All right, guys, let's call it a night. Thank you guys for joining on this late evening. Yankees win this one more time. John Sterling.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
More of that, please.
Henry Torres says the Yankees are for real and they are getting it done. And then we've got somebody saying wait. So we got maybe we're gonna have one more appearance from Mr. Judge. We'll see. I'll hang around for 10. I'm not above waiting an extra minute if somebody says they're gonna send 10,000. I'm good. I'm game with that. Let's see. Emmanuel Munoz says trade Cole for Harper. Gonna have to go ahead and say
doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way. Garrett Cole, despite his performance last night, is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's part of the solution this year. He's part of what's going to win you the World Series. Quality Content says Florial is on fire. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. I think we got a little bit fake baited there, but thank you for all the likes. I appreciate it. We will see you on Sunday afternoon.